All right. Hello, everyone. Good to see you. I can see your names here. It's good to have you here. My name is Paul Tranny. I see you, Felicia, Nguyen, and everyone. Fantastic. So this is good. Good to have you here, and we'll dive into this. And basically, I'm going to make some quick brushes. Some things that I actually really have been doing in Photoshop. So I thought it'd be fun for us to do it together. So shall we do it? Let's do it. Let's dive right in. And you can see a number of brushes in here, and hopefully you'll catch a vision for what I'm doing as I switch screens. And here we are. Awesome. Hello, Duart, Felicia, Derek, and everyone. There we are. Are you getting a little bit of an echo? I am sorry about that. I will turn that off because that should take care of it. Is the echo gone? Should be gone. All right. Let me know if the echo is gone in chat. That'd be fantastic. Here's my image, and we can go ahead and get started. So, hola, good to have you here. Rich, I see you as well. Again, the echo should be gone. And then we will, as soon as I get a go ahead. Cool, Jacob said it's perfect. Awesome, let's dive into this, shall we? Here I am in Photoshop. I'm just gonna add a new layer. Let's fill it with white, why not? Right, and we can kind of create a brush. What I was going to do is kind of create a, oh, thank you, Michelle and Mohammed. What I was going to do is I was going to create a brush, and typically you could pick any one of the brushes that are already built in, right? We can go to all of our fun brushes. Cool thing is, do you guys know that you could actually sync your presets in Photoshop now, which is fantastic, right? Being able to sync your presets in Photoshop. So make sure you do that. That is up here somewhere, and I can't even tell you where it is, it looks like. But yeah, and I apologize for that. Anyways, it's already turned on for me, so that's why I am not worrying about it. But anyways, my presets are already set, so that's why I have all these brushes in here already. I have general brushes that I could pick. You know how those work, you know, pretty straightforward. I actually got a Wacom, which is pretty exciting. But what I wanted to do is actually kind of use some symbols. So also with your presets, you get a number of shapes. So these are all my shapes that I've loaded into Photoshop. You can add or append default shapes, right? Usually don't do it through this menu. What you want to do is you want to go to Window, you want to go down to your shapes. So this shapes panel, and this is where I have all my shapes. And sure enough, there's a note. Here's another note that I might want to use as well. So I'll just drag out a couple of these. But if you don't have all of these, just make sure you go to Legacy Shapes and More. And that's how you can load those in. Right? So that's what I would do. Load in those. You could append the default ones. I put them all in one big folder just so I can visually kind of scroll through them all, and then I can get started. Okay? So here's a couple notes. As you can see, I don't even really know what notes these are, but luckily it names them. So I have two eighth notes, I guess. Eighth note, two. These are two eighth notes, I guess. But what I want to do is I want to turn these into brushes. So I'll take this one, for instance. Come over here, draw a box around it, just selecting it, and then we'll go to Edit, Define Brush Preset. Boom, there we are, sampled brush, done, okay? Here's my brush that's selected. We'll go into the brush settings, okay? Because what you're initially gonna get is you're gonna get something like this. And let me just turn off those, turn off that. We just get that. That's not gonna work. So I need to go into my brush settings and I need to adjust the spacing in my brush settings panel. And we really need to space those out, right? We'll space those out. We can make the size even smaller. I'll typically make it about 100 pixels. So do those two things, right? And now we can see those brushes being spaced out, but we can get into some other things like the shape dynamics. Let's make the size jitter, right? So we'll crank that up 100%, and you'll see it down here at the bottom. And let me just zoom in on this. We'll see it in this thumbnail right here. Okay, so now we have a size jitter. right? We have a angle jitter. We don't want to turn it upside down, but we want to make it look like music is playing. So I'm going to go ahead and adjust this angle jitter about 29, 30 degrees, something like that. And then we have an angle jitter as well. We have a roundest jitter, but everything's still in a straight line. This is actually okay for me right now because I want to do this maybe a couple different ways. But once I have that brush set up, with these new settings, and I can go into scatter, and I'll scatter it just a touch, by the way. I'll scatter it just a little, just so it goes to the left or the top and the bottom of this line, and then I can save it. So right down here in my brushes panel, click Paul's Note Brush. There it is, done. Okay, so now we have sort of like our before and then our after with all of our settings, which is nice, right? Oh, Dana Pride's been waiting for this. So this is really cool, Dana. It's good to see you. I like keeping track of you and seeing how you're doing on Instagram and everything. So, but once I have that done, I can start playing with this. And what I wanted to do is I wanted to like take a scene, and my original idea was like, okay, let's take something like this, right? She's looking at this record and she's like hearing this music. Because you know how you like think of Elvis in this case, or think of a band and you kind of hear music playing? Well, that's what we're going to do now. Right in here, we can go ahead and create a new layer and have music kind of emanate from it just like that. So that's all I'm doing, is creating these nice lines, right? And what I can do is they could be smaller down here. So I'm adjusting the brush. It's going to be smaller down here at the bottom, right? And then it's going to get larger. Okay, so I would typically do this on maybe a couple layers, just so you know. Make it a little larger, add a new layer. These are my mid-sized sort of musical notes coming out just like that, okay? And then what I would do is I would take her, let's do a Command J to jump that layer. Let's go to the Properties panel. Let's remove that background. Let's remove that background. I haven't done on this image yet. Boom, it did a great job. Now we can create this nice sandwich, because I thought it would be cool is if those notes came like out and then behind her head. So that's what I want, them coming out and then they're behind her head like so. Okay, so that's idea. They're enveloping her as she sees this, and that's the whole idea for this project. From there, I'd actually consider adding another layer of notes. Okay, coming in here, let's add well, those are awfully large. The first note example that you get, this could be from 0% to 100%. Our next one, like we don't know how big these are going to be, right, with each click, right? So they vary in size, and that's how I have it set up. Let's just do a couple other notes. We'll click kind of big, and then we'll just change this to say overlay, right? So I changed that to overlay mode to make it look kind of nice. Okay, so that's the goal. Ooh, so Nguyen, maybe if the music's yellow, then maybe it would be better. Like, is it taking on that that tone or whatever? I think this works pretty well. Here's another thing you can do. Michelle and Mitra and Everett and everyone, check this out. So this is kind of done. It looks pretty good. I want to do something else. Let's do this. Are you ready for this, people? I'm going to grab the freeform pen tool. I'm just going to use we'll see how this comes out, because it might get kind of ugly. I'm going to make one. I'm going to try to say with a freeform pen tool, I'm just going to say, let's do Elvis with a lowercase e. E, L, V, I, S. Like that. I just wrote out Elvis. I'm sorry that's kind of hard to see, but that's what I just wrote. Elvis. It's not the best. I get it. I can adjust that all I want. But the big thing up here is I want to actually save this path. So save path. But since that's done, I could now stroke that path with that brush that I had created. So right up here, I'll usually go to stroke path, clear up here at the top, and I'm sorry if you can't see that. Stroke path. Now we're going to stroke it with that brush that I have. Okay, we're not going to see anything initially because I actually am on a white canvas and I'm actually painting in white. But it will do it. We'll click OK. Okay, we'll turn that off, and that's what it did, right? So this takes some adjustments, because now I'm realizing, oh, the size is too big. We'll drop down the size to 100, and it will just take some experimenting. But once this path is set up, I can stroke it all I want. So let's stroke this path again now that I've changed the brush size. Click OK, and there it is. We can see that following along with that path. So think about doing this. Yeah, because it works really well. We could do the same thing in Illustrator, by the way. If you wanted to ever take these notes, and you could do the same thing or something similar in Illustrator. Let's turn that off. Let's grab this, copy it, go into Illustrator, paste it. Yeah, why not? Just like that. There's our shape, and we can make this a brush. As I drag it in here, let's make it a fun scatter brush in Illustrator. We'll click OK. And it's going to go ahead and we're going to change the size. Size is going to be random. So this is how I would do it in Illustrator. Change the spacing, right? The scattering, make that random. And the rotation, I'll just rotate it a little bit, just like I did 30 degrees on both sides. That's what I would do here as well. Okay. We'll click OK. Move that out of the way. N for pencil. Here's my brush. Oops. You know, and now I can go ahead and make sure that brush is selected and take the size down, by the way. But I'm going to double click on this, and I'm going to change the size of the brush, because it is from anywhere from 51. I'm going to take this down from 40 to like 120. So the size is just a little bit too much for me. We'll have it do like 20 to 112. We'll click OK. We will apply to strokes, and that's more along the lines of what I want. So again, I can go ahead and write like I did earlier. I can write with my pencil E-L-V-I-S like that, and we have those notes following that path. Right? So hopefully that makes sense. Thanks so much for hanging out with me. Just some quick ways how you can use brushes. I love Illustrator because the great thing about Illustrator is I could bend these lines and make this look more like Elvis. And I could always change this to make it more less spacing, right? And basically I could adjust that stroke any way I want, even after I've drawn it. So just some fun tips to try in good old Illustrator with brushes. And let's not forget about this one that we made earlier with this cool lady as well. Thanks so much for watching, Muriel and Michelle and Dana and everyone. I appreciate you guys. Be safe out there, and just have fun in Photoshop, and follow me and see what I end up creating with all this too. Thanks so much, everybody. Thank you for watching.